but I just started typing ideas of what I would want to see in a Captain Picard TV show. And they didn't really say, like, you know, the rest of the cast of TNG is coming back. It's not like a, because the revival series are big, right? So I thought, well, what are they going to do? So I wrote up a treatment.
This is a man who loves Star Trek. Just for fun, and with no hope of him doing anything with it, he writes his own treatment for the next Star Trek series.
Oh, Rich, nerds do this shit all the time. Here's my pitch for the Captain Picard TV show. Oh, I'm sitting on it. So the show would be called Star Trek Galaxy. The series would open at the Picard family vineyard, the exact same sequence as seen in All Good Things, the final episode of Star Trek The Next Generation.
That's a damn poetic idea. You know, you start right where it should have ended, 30 years ago. I like that.
Picard would have a beard, the same straw hat, dressed exactly the same, tending to the vines in retirement. Except this time, he no longer has Irumodic syndrome. Maybe we could have some kind of fun line like, it was cured by some holographic doctor.
Close to 25 years.
25 years.
Time-wise, it roughly matches up 25 years, which would be neat because both actors have aged pretty close to how they look now. I'm talking about LeVar Burton and Patrick Stewart, of course. The premise would be a little different. It would mix both concepts of a fully crewed-up starship just going about the day-to-day business of the Federation.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, sir.
What have we got today?
With a series or season-long story arc. So Geordi LaForge shows up to talk to now-retired Admiral Picard about reinstating him for a brief mission. The famed USS Galaxy, the namesake for the ship class, had vanished at the end of the Dominion War and was listed MIA, has now mysteriously resurfaced somewhere strange. Side note, I have no idea what happened to this ship in canon. Currently, it's listed as active on the Star Trek Wikipedia, but who cares?
Oh, yeah.
The ship is crewless and drifting somewhere near the Gamma Quadrant, possibly near the territory of a new Federation enemy. Not that the 30-year-old Federation technology would be much of a prize to any belligerent race, but the ship might hold some clues to what happened, and maybe even some of the crew are still on board. Geordi, along with his wife, Dr. Leah Brahms, and possibly their children, Alondra, Brett, and Sydney, all mentioned in All Good Things, are traveling to the derelict ship to investigate. Leah was the designer of the Enterprise D, and Geordi was, of course, the chief engineer, so they are essentially the experts on this type of ship. LaForge said he would feel more comfortable if an admiral was there to oversee the mission, as he's not a fan of the eager, reckless young captain they currently have leading the mission to recover the ship. Perhaps he's also a bit concerned with Picard. Maybe he's becoming more withdrawn after the death of his wife. Anyway, along with a skeleton crew, possibly of cadets, they investigate this mystery, which ends up having far larger and more dangerous consequences for the Federation, of course. The barely working Galaxy-class ship finds itself in a combat situation brought on by the young, inexperienced captain, which ultimately gets him killed. Picard is then forced to take command of the ship. Perhaps even the warp drive is so critically damaged that they can only travel at impulse through one dangerous situation after another. This would force Picard to use his tried-and-true diplomacy and wit to help them all survive and solve whatever mystery is at hand. As far as fan service and callbacks, fans love the Galaxy-class ship. The main cast would be Picard, LaForge, and Brahms, along with newcomers and a skeleton crew. The whole mission would start as a dull recovery operation, but turn into a season-long adventure with the Starfleet legend, Picard. We're talking about the Captain Picard TV show. And you have two options here, and this is what got my brain going on this, right?
Yeah.
Because your two options are this. Patrick Stewart is 78 years old.
Yes.
Option one, the Enterprise X, I don't know, is a new, super sleek, gigantic battleship.
Yeah.
We need a captain who has experience. Get a 78-year-old man, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
The Klingons are starting another war. The world is changing. We have a full-scale invasion of the Federation by the Klingons, the Romulans, and the Borg. And that's option one.
That's what they're going to go with. But
That's what we're
That's
making
not
the
what we're
video.
talking about. We're talking about your fake Picard show that they're not going to make.
I know they're not going to make it, but we could dream, can't we?
Yes, we can.
No. This.
No, yes, we can dream. I agree with you.
Your options are: one, put him in the captain's chair and just ignore his age and have him say fire, torpedoes, and have an action series. Option two is him in a retirement home, taking his pills. Or him like on the streets of Paris, like sipping coffee while he reads the newspaper, as he should be in reality.
I've been away far too long.
And you know what else annoys me too? They get the Millennium Falcon back in numerous incarnations, from brand new to the old rust bucket.
By they, you mean Star Wars fans. Okay.
We get Discovery, a spinning ship that travels on a network of spores, and then we get the Enterprise E, which is an ugly monstrosity. Fans love the Galaxy class ship. It's revered
Yes.
as much as the Constitution class. They took the Enterprise D and they trashed it in Star Trek Generations, which I'm still bitter about 25 years later.
Yeah.
Why can't we get the Galaxy class back?
I'm agreeing with you about everything. I like this idea. I actually like this idea. You get the Galaxy class back, but you make it a little bit run down. It's been beat up.
Oh yeah,
It's been through some shit.
that's the different angle that of course they won't take. They're going to want sleek sets, holographic projections. Discovery looks as TNG would look 20 years later,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Then you also get you get that ship back, but it also doesn't have to feel the same because at the time in TNG, the Galaxy class, it's a fucking luxury cruise ship, but you get the rundown version of that now. So it's still the same ship, but like the inside, it's like beat up, wires are hanging down, panels are missing. I like that idea.
Main power is offline. All systems are in standby or emergency mode.
The clear like thematic thing you want to do, right, is you have the young rookie crew because the captain is dead, and then the veteran there, Picard, he's got to be in charge, but he's really old, and are these young kids going to trust this old man?
That's one of the selling points of the show.
Yeah.
Is essentially the USS Galaxy is a metaphor for Picard himself, a relic from another era.
What do you do with Geordi?
Well, here's the thing: you want an ensemble cast.
Yeah.
You have Geordi, and you have his wife, and you have kids. They bring along their kids because really and it doesn't really say how old they are, but I'm gonna imagine maybe one could be in the service,
That's fine.
and two are maybe a little bit younger.
Well, they're not so little anymore. Brett is applying to Starfleet Academy next year.
You have a whole bunch of options for the kids. One wants to go and be an artist or something, and so you have a whole family dynamic that you could have a bunch of stories with in that regard. And maybe Dr. Leah Brahms has no interest in going on this mission, but Geordi really wants to help his old friend Captain Picard.
But my only question is, why aren't the young, experienced crew looking up to Geordi for what to do? Because he's older, but he's not so old that he's grandpa.
Because maybe Geordi's never had the command bug, you know? He's an engineer.
This is Captain LaForge of the Starship Challenger.
I mean, I know they show him as a captain in Star Trek Voyager.
I'm okay with that.
He does actually command a Galaxy-class ship in Star Trek Voyager. But that's an alternate timeline. It's very possible he's settled down. Him and his wife run an engineering school, you know, somewhere in the world, you know.
She's just been made director of the Daystrom Institute.
And he has no interest in space exploration anymore or moving up the ranks in command. They threw him in that Star Trek Voyager episode as a captain because I think he directed that episode. But we're gonna remove that from canon.
Okay.
If you're talking about Riker, yes, they would look to Riker. But Geordi and his wife are just going to be sort of like civilians on this trip, which is why they brought the initial commanding officer. who is like, I want nothing to do with this. He's a younger guy. Kind of like the situation in Generations when it starts, when you have Cameron from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Well, I think if you're going to kill him off, you may as well make him Mr. Adult Man in charge. But then he's dead, and it doesn't really matter.
Sure.
Yeah.